Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the very first episode of Inside the Fleet, the podcast that brings you behind the scenes of your Norfolk Admirals. Nick Gimbel here, hosting the very first episode. Pleased to be joined by Admirals alternate captain and defenseman Josh McDougall. Josh, thank you for joining me here in Greensboro, getting this here out to the fans here after the Greensboro games.
Hey, yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to have a little chat.
A native of Prince Albert, Saskatchewan. Just tell me about your early life when you got into hockey, who got you into hockey, and how it was growing up there in Saskatchewan.
It's good. I mean, it's cold, so there's always a long winter of skating, so it's almost natural that that you start pretty early on the ice rink or on the pond somewhere. But I think as the story goes, my mom actually got me on skates.
Oh yeah,
pretty early, maybe around like 3 or 4. And naturally, my dad kind of stepped in and taught me the ropes of hockey. I kind of just took off with it, loved it. Spent a lot of time at the outdoor rink growing up. That was kind of the thing to do after school. I'm sure my parents were probably thrilled that they had to pick me up every now and then as I got a little bit older, driving me to the outdoor rink and further away so I could skate with more of my buddies, so to say. But there was always a rink close by where we lived, so it was pretty easy.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems that you played a lot of your minor hockey and a lot of, like, even when you moved on to the SJHL with the Nipawin Hawks, pretty local to Prince Albert, Saskatchewan, correct? You didn't move necessarily more than a couple hours away from home?
Yeah, it was only about an hour, less than an hour and a half away. So even when I played midget, it was less than an hour and a half away, so it was always pretty close in rural Saskatchewan. So I didn't necessarily go too far from home until college, and I was lucky enough to live with my grandparents in Nipawin, playing junior hockey for 2 years, and I got treated pretty well there, and I was always eating better than ever.
So you didn't have a true billet experience. You were more getting that home cooking with family for your juniors years.
For juniors, yeah, I billeted away in 2 of my midget years, or I guess U18 we'll call it now. But yeah, 2 of those years I billeted, and I also had a great billet in Alice Osterling there, and she took care of all of us pretty well there.
So tell me why you chose the NCAA route. You spent 4 years at Mercyhurst University there in Erie, Pennsylvania. What drew you to the collegiate route instead of pushing more for the Canadian major juniors?
It kind of just happened. Like, I didn't necessarily even know about college hockey, funny enough. And then closer to the end of my first year of junior, I was kind of getting approached by schools, and then after the second year started, I had a good start, and then there was a lot of teams reaching out, and then I kind of realized like that's maybe a reality, and so I kind of had to pick up on it quick, and I quite literally had no experience or even knowledge of what it entailed or anything like that. So it was actually came as quite a surprise when I kind of figured out that's kind of what I'd be doing. I knew a little bit that major junior wasn't really in the cards. It was maybe a late bloomer, so to say. But college hockey gave me an opportunity to play a few years of junior and then kind of advance in that route.
And we're seeing it now a lot with the transfer portal and with NIL. You spent all 4 of your collegiate years with Mercyhurst, and you were an alternate captain for your junior and senior years. What kept you there instead of pursuing other collegiate opportunities, and what did you study at Mercyhurst?
I guess I'll start with the study part. I took biology. I got a Bachelor of Science in biology. And staying at Mercyhurst, it was getting to the point where maybe we had a few guys transferring in and out, but really that wasn't my mindset I committed to a place, I'm gonna stick it out, and kind of fulfill my commitment. And I didn't necessarily think I had any other options, so to say, or I wasn't really seeking out any other options, nor was I really wanting to. But no, like it's a lot different landscape now.
Right.
Even with like say the basketball one and dones, it's now hockey one and dones.
Right.
So it's definitely a different landscape than when I played college hockey.
Yeah, you've got Gavin McKenna now with Penn State that we have no idea how long he's going to stay in NCAA. But yeah, great to hear about your NCAA career. You started your pro career with the Wichita Thunder in 2022, only 5 games played in that season. And then the following season, you started with Indy for 19 games played before you were acquired by the Admirals. Who helped you most during your first season or your first season and a half or so to transition from the collegiate game to the pro game?
I'm not sure if there was one person. You kind of get thrown to the wolves in a sense. If you don't, if there's not a lot of people around you like doing that same route. There was a few guys that from my senior class that had pursued some pro opportunities, but the following year there was a big drop off, and I don't think many guys wanted to continue playing, or they went overseas or some different circumstances. So you kind of you got to figure it out on your own a little bit, and then I guess just basing it off some teammates throughout the year. I mean, if you going from Wichita, I was only there a very brief time at the end of the season, and then starting out with a different team for the first half of the season, and then getting traded. Funny thing is, I actually got traded to Wichita, and then immediately traded from Wichita to Norfolk. So
like a 3-team trade. Kinda?
Yeah, it was like a brief.
Do you know
1 hour?
Do you know
period.
how that worked?
No, I got told I was traded from Indy to Wichita, and then I got a call from the Wichita coach about half an hour later saying we traded you to Norfolk, and that was kind of the extent of it. And then I come to Norfolk, and I've been here ever since.
So hopefully you weren't already on a flight or on a car ride to Wichita and had to turn around. You were probably told while you were gathering your things in Indy that you could head straight to Norfolk.
Yeah, luckily it happened. I mean, even before I packed up all my stuff at the rink. So, I mean, kind of goofy, but yeah, it worked out that way where I didn't have to be bounced around too much.
Well, you haven't been bounced around since then. You've made Norfolk, you made the 757 your home since then. Can you pinpoint 1 or 2 key reasons as to why you've chosen Norfolk as your home away from home for your pro career?
Yeah, I mean, I guess one is kind of the culture that's been built over the last few years. Just seems to be like a revolving door of really like great teammates, and with a combination of good players. Having a good team is always gonna attract that. And I mean, the area is great. Like the fans, I mean, they're always out, whether we're winning or losing. Like the first half season that I was there was probably one of the worst seasons for the Admirals in a lot of sense. They didn't have a great start, and then towards the back half of the year, things kind of started to turn around, and I felt like I was a little bit a part of that, and just building off of all that, the hardships, and then over the next few years, kind of, you know, having a few good seasons, just building a good culture, you know, it makes you really, I don't know how you want to put it, but makes things a little easier, so to say. Like if things are always rocky, it doesn't always translate from off ice to the on ice aspect, and you know, there's a lot of steadiness, we'll say.
Well, and touching on that steadiness and you being a part of the transition of the culture for this organization, in doing my homework for this inaugural episode of the podcast, I was asking around. I asked Musser, I asked Osmondson, I asked the training staff and Curtis and Darcy. I'm asking for information on you as a person, if there's any specialty requests for gear or any athletic trainer needs or and everybody is saying that you are one of the most easygoing, laid back individuals. And as I've gotten to know you over the season, it's so true how you're just so laid back and so easygoing and such a solid leader too. You're an alternate captain for this team. So I guess this is a long-winded two-part question. Have you always been an easygoing type of leader growing up and through your hockey days? And what was it like to get the letter on your Admiral sweater for the first time?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I was probably more of a quiet guy in my upbringing a little bit, and then once I get to know my surroundings, I kind of the opposite. So it's kind of funny in that sense. And yeah, I just you don't need a lot to I don't know, to schmooze me. Like it it is what it is. Like you got to make the best of of what you're given, and that's always kind of been my mindset. That's how I was brought up. You don't need a lot to perform. You just utilize what you have, and I kind of just always been that way. So why would I change to different levels you'd get to, kind of thing? And it's a pretty big honor to, be recognized by your teammates as a leader in the locker room, and don't take it for granted. It's you don't want to be that. You don't want to be the guy that doesn't say anything, because usually if you're a quieter guy, your voice carries, just because people aren't used to hearing your voice. So being a quieter guy, you got to make sure you're saying the right things and not sending the wrong messages. So I think that's an important piece for me, if I'm not going to be the loud guy that's always trying to get the guys going. So yeah, I guess just saying the right messages as a leader is probably a key thing.
And I want to transition to the here and now. We're currently sitting in the hotel in Greensboro. We just got to town for the weekend series. This episode coming out after this weekend series. We finished up the month of January. That was much more of a college type of schedule. A lot of Friday, Saturday games, no weekday games in the month of January. You contrast that with the upcoming schedule in February. A lot of Wednesday, Friday, Saturday sets of games, starting with Fort Wayne in just a couple of days. How does that affect your days of preparation in between games, moving from having those extra days of practice in January, moving now to, if there is going to be a practice day, it's going to be a quick hit on the ice like we had today when we landed here in Greensboro?
Yeah, I guess it's kind of going from that college to pro schedule, so to say, from January to February. But it's good. Like we're over half the way through the season, so I think, not to say less practice the better, but really having that energy and getting dialed into the game aspect is what we're really putting a premium on now. And those practices that we do have, just kind of fine tuning things that we need to, and getting ready for the opponents that we have up next. So I don't necessarily think having a lot of Wednesday games is a bad thing, because the Wednesday, Friday, Saturday is a lot better than the Friday, Saturday, Sundays that we got coming up this weekend. So I'll take a Wednesday, Friday, Saturday over the 3-3 any day.
And do you have any specific game day routines or superstitions that may or may not be adjusted with different start times, like those Sunday 3 p.m. games, as opposed to a weeknight or Friday, Saturday 7:05 p.m. What are your specific routines or superstitions, if you have any?
Nothing crazy. Like I wouldn't really say I would change much, depending on the game time. Um, yeah, pretty laid back in that sense. I don't. I mean, I guess in general, but yeah, I don't really change too much depending on the time of the game. Kind of just go with the flow.
And I know you don't take part in the team sewer pregame stuff, but I have been told to ask you about the team ping pong and the leaderboard you guys have in the weight room. Just give us some insight into what the team ping pong entails. I know there's maybe a Chipotle gift card on the line from Darcy.
Yeah, so that was kind of something that came up after Christmas. Darcy came up with that, and it's brought a lot more guys to the ping pong table. That was a struggle that we had, was getting guys to play ping pong, and I'm one of those players that just wants to rack up games in there. So it was good to bring a lot more guys in there. We'll get doubles going, and the competitive aspect that you bring out of guys in a different way on the ping pong table is good. And just seeing who the dogs are and who's got that natural ability on the table is pretty good.
Well, I had the honor of being absolutely dusted by you the one time I picked up the paddle. Who are those dogs? Who are the better players on the team, and who are the ones that, for lack of a better term, are the easy pickings to get the wins on the leaderboard?
I wouldn't. I think you were sandbagging a little bit. I seen you play today. I think you gave it easy to me. But some of the dogs, well, Younger and Hebert, they both get their games in. That's for sure. They're two of the better players. Played Magnuson recently, and he was able to beat me pretty
Oh, yeah?
easily. So he was one that he hardly ever played, even last month. And then he kind of surprised everyone. But he's always lurking, so you knew that he could be a player, and he definitely is a player. And then I don't know. There's a lot of guys that are pretty good, but they kind of stay away from the table a little bit. If you're looking for an easier game, probably Oz. Oz doesn't really he doesn't really have that ping pong game like he does on the ice.
And I don't know that I've even seen him on the table when I'm around you guys during practice days to even get that repetition in.
Yeah, I mean, he tries to stay away from the table, but guys drag him in and beat up on him for some confidence or something. But he's getting better. Like he's starting to have some closer games. But
well,
yeah,
aren't there also those little contingency rules that you're only allowed to decline a challenge 2 times a day?
Yeah, if you're looking to move up on the rankings, you can only decline once a day, and then the following day, if they challenge you again and you decline, they automatically swap spots. So that's the little contingency to get some movement on the leaderboard for sure.
Awesome look into the off the ice stuff there, and staying off the ice. The other thing I've been inclined to ask you about is I've been told you're one of the better golfers on the team, and one of the benefits of being with the Admirals is the access to the beach. I hear you it's like your little serenity place is just being in the sand, watching and listening to the waves, and then on the golf course, quite a stick.
I mean, I suppose I'm not a scratch golfer by any means, but I do enjoy getting out on the golf course. And playing some different games out there. Me and Brady have gotten some good matches in, and then there's a couple other guys that we might have to shed a little strokes out there, but we can definitely. There's always ways you can have good matches, no matter the skill set of any golfer.
Right.
Like sometimes I have to give out strokes, that's just how she goes sometimes. But no, there's some great golf courses around Virginia Beach and area, and I'm trying to get out to a few more different ones, maybe down in North Carolina, down that way too. So it's definitely a hobby of mine, and it's nice that you can play kind of in the so to say winter months that I'd normally be having in Canada. You can
very, very limited golf off season in that Hampton Roads area.
Yeah, it's kind of spotty, but we get out when we can, and it's good. And of course, being so close to the beach, having that big boardwalk there down at the ocean front, it's just a nice place to go for a walk and kind of clear your mind. It's awesome to have.
Last question for you that I was told to try to talk to you about was your fight in playoffs a season or two ago. Walk us through how that transpired and the backstory behind it, if you can.
Yeah, I don't even remember necessarily how it happened. I think it was in game maybe 1 or 2 against Trois Rivières, and I think Florent had scored an empty net goal, and then they kind of hacked and whacked at him, and then they were all ganging up, and there was a couple of us that went in, and one of their guys just started feeding me, so I figured I'd gotta fight back.
Just give it back.
Yeah, and then one thing turned to the next, and that was the first career pro fight and the only one.
Only one so far, huh?
Yeah. Not to say it's the last, but
oh yeah,
you never know.
Well, Josh, I've taken up a lot of your time already. Thank you so much for coming on, and we hope everybody's enjoyed the inaugural episode of Inside the Fleet. Hopefully we can bring a lot more behind-the-scenes coverage to the Admirals faithful as we get past the halfway point of the season, recording right now before the start of the 3-game Greensboro series, heading into the back half of the season. Josh, again, thanks for coming on.
Hey, I appreciate it, Nick. Thanks for having me.